specifically with a small tech delay to come in like this, you get a bit of time.
Yeah, a little mental refresher,
and,
sure.
Go back through and go, okay, I don't like what I did here. I need to learn from this one. As we are already jumping back into Erangel to get everything shifted. Plane path is going to be coming in from the south this time, going into the north, as it's not as centered as the one we saw earlier, but still pretty freaking centered.
Yeah, I'm just hoping we don't get a shooting range circle.
If it happens again, it was destined.
If it happens,
right?
it happens, yep.
That's how I have to look at it.
If he dies, he dies.
If he dies, he dies. Now looking in, again, nothing too crazy. We might see some military base love as it's going to be server.
I was going to say a melee-based circle on the last game?
Ooh, you going to do that to him?
I wouldn't hate that.
I thought I was supposed to be the evil.
Yeah, sometimes, you know, sometimes I have to remember I'm casting now. I'm not playing, right?
Come with us. Come to the dark side, young Padawan.
So yeah, as far as drops, this is all set, right? Cerberus is gonna opt to go for a melee drop here. Again, everyone has their main drop, their alt drop, and no one has been connected. We actually haven't seen any hot drops at all today between A and B.
And there's been a lot of safety coming into play on that one. There was some talk of a couple of them that were going to potentially happen, but instead, much slower drops are what people are leaning into. It did lead that kind of, we had that awkward moment where we had the fight for the car and people getting run over in the very beginning, but that's the closest that we've really come.
Oh, at GP, yeah. Oh, it's Theraton and GP, I believe, right? Yeah.
Because it's reminiscent of what we kind of see going on over there around Georgia Bowl yet again, is both teams still really want this US.
I gotta say, I mean, Pachinki Circle, I definitely don't mind those, but yeah, it looks like Theraton are the superior droppers. That's the second time that they've been able to beat them to that car.
Yeah, I mean, take a buggy. It's going to be enough to at least get away from this one. Looking out, you guys know the circle. I'm not going to give you a breakdown on it. It's Pachinki. You know the fields. It's got Everest inside of it. It's got Rajak, and I would say that I could do with it a smidgen of school apartments Rajak. It's just been a hot.
No, I'm vetoing that right now. As a viewing experience, Rajak is, or excuse me, school and apps isn't great. Just pushing that as a player isn't great.
Now trying to get everything set up. You can see moving into our looting positions. GP making the shift over. This time with all of their members intact, so feeling significantly better about it. LG did move back over into their Stalber drop that we saw them do a second ago. Not too much craziness coming out. Falcons did a very wide split across Quarry, as well as sending two of their members down into Primorsk. But it's going to be, if you mind, game PT that's going to get themselves North Georgia to play around with, and hopefully this will give them the opportunity to get looted up and move into one of the mid-game position.
Yeah, they do have a good rotation in at the very least. They could go Q, but
이번에 데뷔하고 나서 이제 바로 세계대회에 진출하게 된 거라서 엄청 영광스럽게 생각합니다. 잘 해왔으니까 이때까지 해왔던 대로 플레이하고 일단 그랜드 파이널까지 가는 거를 목표로 최대한 두고 있는 것 같아요. 1차 목표로. 팀 분위기는 엄청 좋은 것 같아요. 그랜드 파이널을 명확하게 목표하고 있고 그 이후의 목표는 이제 그랜드 파이널에 올라가고 나서 생각하기로 해서 그렇게 크게 긴장은 안 하고 있어요.
I like that approach, setting goals instead of like, oh, we're gonna win. I mean, I also would have liked them to say we're gonna win the event, but
we've never been to an international and we're gonna win it all.
Yeah, so you know, hey, first we got to make it to we got to make it out of this groups. Then we got to make it to grand finals. Then after grand finals, you know, we'll figure it out from there. So
setting long-term goals, I think, is important, specifically with newer teams, so that way you don't set you up for disappointment.
For your first event, yeah.
You don't get inside of a whole bunch of aggression. But with that, it means that you're also planning long-term, and I like that for teams. That means the fact that they have a plan for longevity, a plan for scope, and realizing the fact that, hey, you know, we still got a lot to learn. We're glad that we're here. We earned getting here. But if we can manage to get first place, great. But it means the fact that we still have a lot to learn to get to that stage.
Well, just being here and the experience of being at an international for your first time, you're able to get so much knowledge, whether you find success, whether you have struggles with your rotations, or you're just losing team fights, obviously, against players and teams that are just much more seasoned. And again, these are world-class. These are the best teams in the world. So it's going to happen where you might just kind of get run over. As long as you can learn something from that and get the experience and then come back to your next event, qualify, and then do better, that's really what it's all about. And I will say, GP, they've been using emergency pickups fairly liberally, and they've found success with it so far. So they are doing things right.
And I really like that. I'm much more in the, you feel like you'll learn more from a mistake than you do from doing it right sometimes. And that's a big part of the growth patterns that can happen inside of PUBG specifically. There's so many variables. So I like the idea of coming with, oh, hey, you know, that bike took down that door, I think.
Yeah, but defeat can be one of the best teachers, right? And we've seen that. We've seen teams not necessarily have a great event and they'll come back, bounce back, and do even better. 17 is one of those teams.
I love
They
the fact
won
that
the last event.
Little Ghost loves his bike, and he's making sure to take a good care of it. He's like, no, you don't even lay down on the ground. We get you in the comfy position. We get everything set.
What do you think that is? A Schwinn, a Huffy?
It looks kind of huffy, right?
Maybe a Fat Boy Specialized? Who knows?
Ooh, yeah, I mean, we did see
I actually had one of those when I was a kid. Those things were clean, man.
Yeah, did you have like the long spokes that came out from the side of it, the foot bars?
I'm sorry, the what?
You know, on the back.
Oh, you're talking
spokes.
about the pegs?
Yeah.
Come on, now. Flip bars? Get out of here. But yes, I did have pegs on the back of my bike.
All right, so looking in, this is pretty much where we're going to be looking at the basic rotations coming in. Big thing is Cerberus is going to be coming in from the south. Down next to military base, the only team that opted into dropping over there. Petrichor Road has been playing in kind of the what is it? Toffees likes to call it the ice chest, the six-pack, whatever you want to mean, over there. That's just going to be on the opposing side of that bridge coming out of military base. But they're not really too set up to bridge camp, so I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see too much happening over there. We do see a couple of small movements, most notably going on. Look at this is GP taking this one cautiously. They know that T5 plays to the south of Georgia Pole, and instead foot pushing across, making sure that they know exactly the fact that there is no trap set and waiting for them.
This is very dangerous, though. Daku could easily just get shredded. Again, we know that T5 is already leaving and they're actually headed towards hospital, but, you know, GP, again, trying to figure things out.
Sarvim also making their rotation. Well, not making too much of one. They've got themselves Potato Mountain to work around. Pretty centered. They do have 17 that's going to be playing the low side of the hill. So while they are close to each other on the map, there is a massive recess in that hill right there. So they're not really as close as it does seem.
And I do actually want to talk about Petrichor. You'd mentioned them, and the desk specifically had mentioned, I think it was Steve or Martin, I can't remember. They're saying how, you know, Ixleft has this incredible pressure put on him as, you know, he is considered one of the best players in the world. Every time fantasy comes around, he's the most expensive. I actually chose him in the last event, and I haven't chosen him since because Petrichor just, for whatever reason, recently have not seemed to kind of get it together when it comes to early international play, right? Like, even today, it's been an issue where they haven't really performed that well. They have had some good games here salvaging points, but we expect a lot from Petrichor, especially how they dominate the region.
The group stage slow rollers, I think, is a good way to look at it. They take their time, they get a feel, they really want to kind of get their vibe, but they're not going to be the ones that are, like I said, it doesn't feel like they like to come in and then just pop off on the first day. I remember there was this thing in North America for a long time. The players used to think that there was the group stage curse, where if you get like first place in group stage.
Well, that was STK, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was STK. I was always talking about. You get first in groups, then you're just destined to failure in the grand finals. Maybe there's something like that going on with Petrichor Road. Like, we're just gonna take it easy. We'll get into the final.
I just say that because obviously we know what that team is capable of. We know what Ixleft is capable of, and so far, I mean, we're not really seeing too much of it.
It's the only reason I can come up with. My conspiracy theory is the fact that they choose not to do it, right?
I mean, I don't know who would choose to come in group stages. Kind of weak, but yeah.
We do point out the fact that as FaZe has managed to move into its position, they are right in between the duos of Na'Vi. We got one to the west and one to the east of them, but again, no big need to move on any regards, nor does Na'Vi need to make anything aggressive just quite yet.
But FaZe with a very nice position here in C9 Hill. And a lot of people actually still call this C9 Hill from what I understand. But yeah, this is going to be a nice position. They're just to the east of Pachinki. They have sight lines pretty much everywhere. Pushing up that is not very easy. Even with a vehicle, it's going to be very obvious. And so FaZe is set up quite well in this circle so far.
LG already managed to make their way out of their home, but not too many things that they're going to have to be keeping their eyes on. No teams really around them. The closest ones being, oddly enough, what we were just looking at. And that's going to be the duo for Na'Vi. That's going to be Ayla as well as Exempel, as the rest of FaZe is going to be right over there. Depending on how Kickstart and the rest of the crew decides to move into this one, they are moving pretty aggressively on that line, but I think that LG tends to play the southern part of this road as they approach.
Yeah, we've seen.
Surprise me if they avoid most of any shots coming.
We also saw them rotate here earlier, but yeah, they're just going to hang out for now, and there's no real reason for them to commit to anything else, simply because we're still just in Circle 1, Matt. Yeah. All the teams are currently in the circle. There is no team that is outside.
This is just a very comfortable circle. It can fit near on everybody. You can kind of play your flavor however you want to. You make the rotation in. A couple of teams that we were talking about before, like T5, are going ahead and move into the Gatka Chopsticks area to some degree. GP that we saw earlier is now presently in Everest. Forest, the only team that's going to be north of Rajak right now and on that river, kind of eyeing what's going on with DK. Looks like they're just trying to make sure that they have the cleanest pathing, because, you know, sometimes these bridges can get messy in group stages, so I do like them scouting it out first.
Yeah, it's always just good practice. practice a scout out. Yeah, you have different options now between the emergency pickup. You even have ferries, not that anyone would take them, but the point is it's still very good to be cautious because we've seen in the past over the years that the bridge is not always the best play. It's not always safe.
Yeah. Every single time you think that there's nobody camping the bridge, they are. And every single time you think that there's somebody camping the bridge,
Also,
no one's there, right?
I can tell you when you are bridge camped, how frustrating it is. You just want to slam your keyboard. And speaking of slamming the keyboard, again, these shifts are just really out of control.
Out of all the different ways it could have gone, it's going to go to the shift south. A lot of our teams are already playing to the south, not the biggest deal, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be a little bit more complicated. It's going to be hard to take those shots in.
Spyro!
Spyro says no, don't go for a peak like that, Grand Peak. You're going to go down from it. He's still continuing to try to hit some more shots as he's going to be rotating past that one. That means that Twisted Minds actually had a pretty decent pathing, but they're moving into phases sight lines here pretty soon. Good read on that. They're going to shift away from it and now start to move along. With this, they manage to bypass where we see 17 Gaming at. Other rotators that are going to be coming in just a minute potentially are going to be T5 moving by TE.
Yeah, and they're just going to actually hang out here for a little bit. They can have their vehicles and tires saved, so not a bad position. Rotating out of that may be a pain later, especially with all the teams that are starting to settle around them, but look at this. Now, Petrichor and Cerberus.
This has to be known. We've seen these two teams kind of bumping against each other along these bridges, right? Because Cerberus likes to go down to military base. Petrichor Road kind of likes to defend up around here. So that's why you're seeing Haisaki play from this position off the start, because they want to get a read and feel exactly where it's coming from. I really like the scouting position coming out. Wait, oh, that was opened up, Haisaki. You're going to regret that one.
And he's going to try to run to the shack. Is that nade enough? Oh.
Pop away from it. So the trap is now revealed. Petrichor Road, their defensive line, still going to be just enough. And I think that was one of those moments where Haisaki, he was like, surely he's not just standing there, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was just standing in the open looking on the other side of the bridge, but an unfortunate missed opportunity there for Haisaki as Cerberus is now just going to back off this position altogether. They don't want to deal with Petrichor this early.
And now that they've taken shots, they're going to reposition over here. Falcons has already kind of shifted in. Not too close, though. They're just playing into the hillside, so this should be pretty safe. That said, while it didn't go the way that Cerberus wanted, I love the mindset and what we see coming out, as it is going to be TE and Tyloo bumping into each other, and this is going to be on the southern Pochinki hillside.
A lot of teams, Matt, are starting to center up around Pochinki for obvious reasons, but even these hillsides, the Pochinki Hill proper, the east side where we see phase set up, I mean, this becomes very difficult on shift, especially when you're edge on these hilltops.
See, that is going to be Tyloo with one of their members down. Looks like they should be able to get the res. It does look like the Expendables were wanting to be more aggressive in this. Delwyn, who's been kind of playing their off-angle position, leaning back into it. And Longs has been loaded up inside of a vehicle to get repositioned and rezzed, playing the actually really far opposing side of this hill. They wanted to get out of this and make sure that it was safe. So with this, the other two members are still playing back to make sure to defend up the potential of that res and give time to be played.
And Petrichor now are dealing with a new threat, and that's going to be Theraton 5, just happen to be in the same compound now.
Just half of them, right? The other two are kind of running, it's kind of a 1-1-2 split that's going to be over here, which I don't think is really the way you want to do it, but you know, Hudson Watt going to go ahead and get the knock on one started off, and that's going to open up more opportunities. Are we going to see the rest? Yes, at least one member has managed to hop into a vehicle for T5, and they want to come over here and provide some support. Mill, though, has them trapped in. Oh, man, I hate pushing these buildings. I can totally understand why you're not.
Yeah, these yellows, I'm still going to call them yellows, I don't care. The yellows can be pretty precarious, especially this specific one where you have that back hallway where there's really only one way in and one way out.
I love the reposition coming out from this one. Does get a nice tasty nade onto it, but does not get the knock. Follow-ups, we're still going to keep a ton of water inside of this circle. And where we're finding out right now is actually the center of the circle. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, this is now the new center. Still so much water in, so this is going to shift quite heavily to the northwest after this. But man.
This is hot, but what we've got going on to the north, we've got Navi that's going to be regrouping. FaZe already making their reposition. Twisted Mind's going to be coming in right back behind them. DK also hopping inside of their vehicles. 17 game. Tons of these guys are running down, and that's why the other member for T5 can't really make his move yet. He's being surrounded by cars that are just swarming down the hillside. You see, he's got to deal with his own problems. He's going to go down, and that's going to make it even harder for the rest of what's going on with them as they just have to retreat from this position. But the area that they were at beforehand now has FaZe.
Yeah, but I'm going to be honest, the split between Theraton 5 kind of confuses me. Taking a fight with Petrichor and then taking a separate fight trying to take that shack is just, I would have really liked for them to just kind of consolidate and just fight a team together instead of just going different directions.
They were going for, it feels like they were going for a safety play depending on how the circle popped. And the circle just popped straight onto them, so they had nothing that
But they left the other two members awry, right? Just fighting Petrichor. I think that's a big mistake.
Looking in, GP is making a rotation into the south, bumping into Cerberus as they're trying to escape. You can talk about FaZe Clan just a moment ago. They're trying to regroup. To the northwest, we have Falcons that's still trying to hold up that area that's going to be to the southern Pachinki hillside. TL going to be the opposing side. TE is over there. We have SRM that's going to be making their approach, as well as Force that's going to be up to the north. So this has got a lot happening.
Yeah, and GP now in a fight with Cerberus here. And this is going to be right at that West Bridge compound at that gas station. And what is happening here? Sheila and Delwyn just randomly fighting each other in the field, and Duckjuice actually going to be the one to find him.
That's just like an old school Western. They just like stood up right in front of each other and was like draw and started taking shots at each other. Spinnables do have the members that are coming in back behind them. SRM's going to continue on their pathing. FaZe has spotted out what's going to be going on. They're looking in. Tyloo, as you can see, is now making more aggressive plays into what Forrest was trying to accomplish over here. As it is, there's just not as much territory in this. A lot of this is water and fields, so you got to fight for whatever you can get. Jeem is going to be on the receiving end of that, as Gustav now alive and alone on that hillside that T5 was holding down so long ago.
Yeah, FaZe, again, rotating off that C9 hill was not really the best position anymore, especially with Twisted Minds coming into the backside of that, just going for the shack, but it was not free as this fight between Cerberus and Game PT is still going on.
If you mind, trying to come in here and saying, if you mind, I would prefer to have this one myself. Cerberus does have a couple of their members. Duckmai back over there watching what's going on with SRM. Haisaki's playing the hillside. 17 Gaming getting some vision on the Tyloo rotation as they are just sending it down that road south out of Pachinki. Force going to be back behind them.
But where are they going to go? This is all taken.
Yeah, and now we see the push coming out, and whoa, that fell
Tygon!
apart. That was just so well defended coming up from Cerberus. That was absolutely red, absolutely denied. Nothing that could happen there. And that was going to be hella running.
I was going to say, before that even happened, pushing into these new warehouses, it's just such a precarious position to be in because there's so many new angles, climbing up, vaulting on those boxes. It's just awkward. It's so awkward to push that, on top of the fact that it was Tycon on the other end of it with Hemas just destroying the team.
Ooh, Tyloo, you gotta be careful. It's gonna be a lot of nades landing in on top of this one. Long still just trying to cling to life. Meds go off, but it's not gonna be enough as Shin is going to take a face full of nade. DK doesn't want to overextend. That blue zone nade, I don't think is going, yeah, it's gonna stop just a bit beforehand.
That one though.
Shin, I was gonna say, you guys gotta move for that one. Well, he's just gonna be right on the edge of it, right?
Yeah, they should be able to get this res up. Yeah, D plus Kia is not gonna push up that hill. They got some damage in there, but they're just gonna go back to their shack. Again, I would love for them to have actually gone there and wiped the team, but
this is the fight I was very
passiveness.
curious about, is we've got Twisted Minds that are trying to push in the same position that 17 is playing from. Also, LG and 4AM not inside the circle yet. They're probably going to path closer to where Petrichor Road and Na'Vi are, so we'll keep an eye on that as it moves forward. But Twisted Minds, they've been kind of leapfrogging into different positions. 17 playing a more defended low ground versus Twisted Minds high ground.
So, yeah, 17 actually sitting in that ravine between the road there just to the north of Crossroads. And Falcons may potentially have an angle on that soon as we see LG finally making their approach in onto this hilltop that we find Tyloo.
Just jumping right up on top, and this is a very weakened Tyloo. Remember the fact that we just saw them take a ton, but they still got the aim to make it work. Kickstart's gonna go down, but there's gonna be a quick exchange. The rest of LG managed to get some vengeance back onto him, and man, this hillside just feels cursed right now.
Yeah,
whoever goes here dies.
This is a very difficult hillside to play from. Especially, I mean, even when it's not central, right? It's just so easy to be shot at from different angles, especially if there's a team on Pachinki Hill, which Falcon still is there.
Where is Twisted Mind planning on going in this? They've got Falcons that's got the hillside. They're walking right in the potential of a trap, but I think that's more just because the Falcons were shooting more long range into kind of what was going on in the LG and DK positions. Silson playing low is going to feed that information right up into it, and yeah, it's going to be DraftKings Capitan. They know the moment Twisted Minds Lake's landfall. Silson's still going to have a good back angle to continue. Yeah, he's going to hit Lou. This is just a perfect executed trap, as even Cerberus taking some shots very long range into what's going on with Twisted Minds.
Yeah, Twisted Minds wanted this spot simply so they could actually take shots onto 17 as well as shots onto LG, right? The team that's on that hill just up above 12 pack, but I don't know if they were expecting for Falcons to be here. 3 of them knocked. Capitan just wants to finish this fight. If he can get the smoke and get the knock, but again, it's just completely failed, and he will. He'll find it, so Falcons will eliminate Twisted Minds.
I love it. Just stroll right in. New circle pops. It's got a ton of field to be played. 4 angry men hopping inside of vehicles. They're going to be trying to rotate right next to Petrichor Road, and therefore LG. Petrichor Road needs to make their way inside of this circle as well. 4 angry men had to do a quick stop off on the outside of it, but guess what? Na'Vi is just right back behind them as cars roll off into the distance.
Yeah, at 4 a.m. at the moment, have a reprieve with this dip, but the nades are coming in. And being in this dip is very bad when you have so much utility being thrown your way, especially when it's Na'Vi. Uba just trying to get the knocks. He's going to fight Example, actually.
Yeah, that's going to hit pretty hard.
Oh, with the car!
Fish it off. Slides down the hill. So 4 angry men going to be eliminated and provides an opportunity pathing for Na'Vi.
And this circle is just, I mean, we've already lost LG as well. Petrichor coming up and kind of helping wipe them. Na'Vi now needs to make their approach, though. They could try to come in behind Petrichor before this blue comes in. Otherwise, there's really not much to play in front of them at that crossroads, especially with 17 and Falcons on that hilltop.
You can see kind of what's going on with 17 and why they can't make too many different moves. Falcons still just trying to cling on to that hilltop that you were talking about, but it's going to be the Expendables shooting them from down inside the field. Oddly enough, who's one of the most comfortable teams right now?
Yeah, and this is great decision.
DK.
Well, DK is just sitting in the shack, very passive. Yeah, I'm not even worried about that, but the Expendables, though, I like this play from them. They're actually taking their time. They didn't kind of rush in. They're just playing the west edge, finding little spots to play here in the fields. Again, great decision making from that team.
Cerberus playing a bit more aggressive into him, and Na'Vi finally making their roll out. They're going to have to deal with Petrichor Road on one side of him. That hill is protecting them for the time being. Looks like Na'Vi is just going to creep in, stop there, but that means that Ixlif is going to have the high ground and is going to be looking down all kinds of Obi-Wan Kenobi as Cerberus making their push into a shack, and that just lets you know what's going on in life right now, right?
Yeah, and again, this is just a split coming from DK. They're not going to be able to hold this, and Cerberus doing a great job of just clearing them out. At least one side of that duo, 6 kills, and again, a good position for them now.
17 Gaming still taking those pot shots into Na'Vi, but with Na'Vi realizing, we've got a couple of friends that are going to be coming up. It's a full-on wall of Petrichor Road that's playing that northern section, but keep in mind, they do have a low ground flank position that they were trying to exploit, now having revealed, but the smoke line is just too strong, and the secondary shots coming out from 17 actually stop their approach.
Yeah, 17 is trying to gatekeep both of these teams right now. Petrichor, though, with the advantage, not having to pour over as much. It's really just Na'Vi. Mel, even though he has the best gun in the game in that P90, it's not really going to help when you have 2 teams shooting at you from distance.
Example really wants to try to move up this hillside. Petrichor is going to have to move away from the blue zone. That might open up the opportunity for him to try to get some more up into this. And yeah, he's just venturing on the blue, and you can see that is ticking hard, but he wants to try to get the angle. The rest of the team's going to call him back. The Expendables are going to go ahead and find themselves cars and hay bales, and that's not going to be really enough cover to give them a happy position.
And no, Falcons, though, have done a great job. They've come off Pachinki Hill. They've taken control of pretty much the entire circle at this point, and they're putting the pressure on Cerberus now, who has to back off.
I mean, Haisaki's and Duck Mai just kind of clinging down there. They have to retreat away. DK's other shack not going to be inside the safe zone this time. Petrichor Road, Na'Vi, both going to have to move us. You know what? I don't like cover. Cover is stupid, and I just want to see everybody have to stand behind hay bales and fight. That's going to be the circle.
That being said, Matt, there is actually, well, as we look at Suju just with a disgusting angle there, there's a lot of different elevations here in this field to where you actually have a decent amount of cover from the north to the south.
There's a way to isolate fights and kind of break out sight lines, but it's going to be very peculiar to see how this is going to be played out. Capitan's going to have to deal with 17 Gaming that is just after him right now. That does mean that Falcons also had to relent against Cerberus. DK taking some shots into 17 Gaming is one of the reasons why they can't really move too aggressively. Petrichor Road just going to bypass. Are they actually going to stop? They're
that nade.
Going to step out. That nade's going to be huge! Whoa! Big play coming out from Kia to cling to life.
Wow. That could not have been more perfect for D plus Kia.
Just hands it right over into them. Problem is, Kia, you still got to move, and with Falcons forcing Cerberus down to the south, guess what? They're just eyeing it in. His Example still trying to find his way into the zone.
Oh, and you find that. Oh, no,
it's actually
Draft
King that gets in the support.
So Draft will get that knock, still just fighting back as it's just Xiaobei now. Left alive as Xiaowu is just knocked right in front of Example, and Xiaobei is in a world of trouble. That UAS can be destroyed And it might slide down that hill, and he's going to be up a creek without a paddle, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he might almost want that because it's the only bit of cover he has. And
Maybe it's already destroyed. I think it might be.
And now we've got Cerberus coming in. They're like, okay, we're not going to fall for the same trick. We're not going to stack up and let one nade take us down. But are you, as throwables now starting to come out. DK is going to be retreating from the position, moving back to the rock. No surprise at all. But with the amount of smokes that are going down, it's just providing perfect nade targets, right? You just drop it right on top of it.
And I love the fact 10 kills first of all for Cerberus, but I also love the fact that they're just so methodical. This is some of the best play I've seen from Cerberus in a while. The fact that they've had that split, they pulled off that fight from the north with Falcons. They came in the split. They were able to kind of push over towards D plus Kia, get rid of them. Really great decision making. Now they are going to pay for it there. Haisaki is going to get knocked by Uba, but even still, this is a very strong Cerberus.
Yeah, I am loving what we see. They realized the fact that Falcons is not something they could contend with. So they retreated away. They let 17 Gaming, they let Na'Vi put in some work on them, weaken that.
Took control of the south.
Exactly. They stepped over there, made sure that they got control of that area, and it looks like, can they get this res? I don't know. That's going to be greedy if they do. They still have that numbers advantage. But it is going to be, I don't know, it's scary whenever you got an example on Uba taking shots at you while trying to go for res.
Yeah, the smokes were down, though, fortunately. Hamas is going to drop one more, and he's going to get this res. And Cerberus is going to be 4 strong here and looking like the best team to win this game right now.
I am scared. We've got Uba that's hopping inside of a vehicle. Are they going to use it for cover? Yep, just creep it a bit more forward, so it's going to be right on the edge of the zone. Odd man out is now actually going to be the Falcons. As you can see, it's going to be Silzen laying down, DraftKing on the opposing side. Tycon has been kind of defending up over here. And talking about Tycon just a little while ago, these guys are just beat it in.
And look how calm, cool, and collected Silzen is. That man, the amount of international experience and success alone. I mean, he's just chewing his gum. He's like, yeah, this sucks, but we got it. We'll figure it out.
This reminds me of something that happened back in 2018. Let me give you the breakdown on what happened. You know, there's some old hands that we're looking at in this last circle, right?
Old, but yet still very effective. There's still 2 members. This is a 4-on-2-on-2 here. Again, Cerberus have just done an amazing job controlling from the southwest, taking their time, winning all of their gunfights. Again, the desk was talking about it, the ability for them, as well as the expendables in the last game. These APAC teams are really just decimating the other teams in these straight-up 4-on-4s.
I mean, if you look at our overall leaderboard, we're seeing some phenomenal gunplay come out. The tactics is getting just cleaner and cleaner. Like, a big part of competitive PUBG is, again, the realization of learning what fights you can actually take and win. And Cerberus is doing such a great job of exploiting that. 12 kills right now. They've got control of the south. Falcons and Na'Vi are near on top of each other, given how the circle is going to be looking. So they're just continually just taking a stranglehold of the circle.
Oh, and that cover's gone. Yeah, those are one of the destructible ones. So now Hamas, as well as the Haisaki behind him, is like, oh, shoot.
If that was an instant, like, my bad,
and that
my
nade
bad.
was beautiful. It landed in his mouth.
Now we talk about the fact of how good Cerberus is doing right now. Let's keep in mind, this is Uba and Exam. This is not a duo to take lightly. They will, if
not
you
at all.
make one small mistake, they will ruin your day. As you can see, Hamas learning from that one is going to step away.
Tycon desperately trying to find the other members. He knows that there's another team, and Falcons out there as Duckmai taking shots over towards Na'Vi. They still have a little bit of this weird ridge to play against Na'Vi, but Hibas is going to go down.
DraftKing has managed to get kind of sneaky over here, you know, creep into this angle. Tycons knows that he's kind of around here. That's why he's playing the opposite side of the vehicle. But the more Na'Vi can just be distracting means that Falcons can kind of move into some really cool flanks.
When you are one of the players, though, that isn't prone on your belly, like finding players in these fields can be really frustrating. I definitely wasn't the biggest fan of these field endings, but this one isn't as egregious as some of the other ones we could have seen.
Yeah, start dropping off backpacks and creeping around, making hissing sounds is something that could be happening here. But I like this. Instead, let's start bringing out, you know, like the portable shields. Let's drop those so that way we can get more defended line. Make sure the fact that we only have to deal with Na'Vi right now.
Yeah, look at this push. He is going to be spotted out by Tycon. Actually, no, it's Uba and a knock coming out from Haisaki.
Big play to turn that one up. Tycon got himself a good sniper in hands as this game is just creeping closer and closer. We're in phase number 8. We still got one more circle to go, but let's be honest, this circle already belongs to Cerberus, and it feels like the next one probably is going to as well.
I was going to say, look at DraftKing, though. He's gotten this really wide flank, and he's going to find Duckby as he's taking shots as well as Haisaki.
And oddly enough, now with Cerberus having had moved forward to deal with what's going to be going on, Silzen tried to come down from the north. He wanted to go for a pinch, but he's going to go down. Now it is all just DraftKings. They know exactly where he is as well. His back's up against that blue zone right along the edge. Cerberus now has control of the center, and Tycon is just waiting for him to peek. And oh man! What are you going to do? The aggression now coming out. 15 kills. Get ready, it's about to be 16, but I don't know. A P90 can't turn around.
Yeah, I would absolutely, especially with these smokes, I would not sleep on the ability of DraftKings here. But never mind, Tycon finds it, and Cerberus with 16 kills will close out the last game of day one.
I don't know how that affects the overall leaderboard, but Cerberus were creeping up in that second place position, and a massive win like that is going to be real tasty to walk